Hey, what's up, all you witches out there? I'm Duuz-Diz-Din, and I'm back with another episode review of The Owl House, Season 1, Episode 8, titled Once Upon a Swap. So, let's get into it, shall we? As we open up, Luz is actually trying to put some pizzazz to Ida's shop by, putting up some lights, basically. The first spell she's ever learned, and she's actually starting to get pretty adept at it, using new applications and stuff like that. And it's just like, it's really kind of cool. Um, However, none other than Boschka appears, the bully that hangs out with Amity from time to time, but whereas Amity seems to be coming around to being a better person, Boska is just full mean girl. She's mean for the sake of just being mean. And yeah, she's just basically just trying to punk on Luz for the most part, because she's something other than. So they've rolled up with all their friends. She's rolled up with all of her friends. And when King tries to scare them off or attack them, it's just seen as cute and adorable, not really taken seriously. And Ida tries to take this moment to try to sell them some merch, but it doesn't work out for the most part. But then she notices Luz's sign and immediately tries to take it down, reminding Luz that she is a wanted felon. But they kind of have this moment of a disagreement within the ranks. Luz kind of questions why Ida is so worried since she's so powerful. Ida finds that King shouldn't have any worries because he's, just a stuffed little baby doll, basically. He shouldn't have any worries in the world. And King finds that Lou shouldn't have any problems because teen worries aren't worries at all, for the most part. So, since they've had this bit of a disagreement, Ida thinks that the best way to solve this is with a body swap. So, it's actually interesting because usually this kind of plot line is only brought about through some kind of, mishap happening. It's usually not a voluntary thing that happens. So, it's interesting from that point of view. So they swap bodies. Luz ends up in Ida's body. King ends up in Luz's body, and Ida winds up in King's body. And something about those eyes. Ugh. As King said, there's weird feelings about that one. But, it's decided that, they will live the day in each other's bodies, and whoever finds that the person has it the easiest will have to clean Hootie, who is, wallowing in filth. Ugh. So we set out with Ida's Catastrophe. We're going in sections for everybody's day in the life. So for the most part, Ada seems to be having a pretty good time. She gets, various different treats because she's so adorable, but she ends up being picked up by these two old ladies who run this place called the Cat Cafe, where little baby like animals all dwell and are basically kept against their will. As one Mr. Tuxedo, I think it is, ends up trying to warn Ida that this place is not safe. And, once they try to get Ida into a costume, Ida tries to leave, but she's unable to, especially without her magic. So she barricades herself in the back room where we see that all the other inhabitants have just been babied so much they forgot how to live on their own. And Mr. Tuxedo says that it's slowly happening to him as well. That's what happens. Your brain basically ends up turning to mush here. Unfortunately, despite Ida's best efforts, she ends up captured. We then pick up with King's Brush with Death, which is a pretty hardcore title, as King spots some teenagers creating some havoc with some water balloons that spawn these tentacle monsters. So, King sneaks up to the teens' hideout called the Treasure Shack and finds them just kind of doing teen things. And so King decides that he will rule over the teens, using one of the kids' flying boots to grab the bag of water balloons and create a massive tentacles, saying that if they follow him, they will be able to have some real fun. And everybody's on board except for Basha. So they go out, they create some havoc, mischief, and chaos. They have a great time. However, Bashka, feeling challenged, challenges King to a race around something called, what was it? Death Cliff? Death Mountain? Death Ridge? Something death. It's a deadly race to the death for the most part, using these worm like creatures. So they go racing around. King kind of fumbles it for the most part, ending up backwards on his steed, but it seems like he might be doing alright. Unfortunately, he doesn't notice that part of the bridge is out, sending him careening right into the treasure shack, angering the kids and causing Basha to go after the king, forming a bit of an angry mob as revenge for their clubhouse. So King ends up trying to escape into the kitty cafe, not knowing this is a no teen zone, and brings him into conflict with the old ladies inside, where he finds that Ida has admits to him that his life is actually pretty horrible, and they both end up being captured by the old ladies. We then pick up with Luz's deals and heels, where Luz is actually having a bit of a hard time walking around in Ida's high heels, which, yeah, high heels are not the best thing to walk around in, trust me, I know. But, she's having a bit of a hard time because she's not used to heels. She's 14, she's not used to that kind of stuff. And she also has a bit of a hard time controlling Ida's magical power output. It's just too strong. But she does manage to create some, little knickknacks for people here and there using Ida's magic, and she actually manages to get in some decent sales, by creating this massive showing of the human collectibles stand. And it brings in a lot of attention and gets her a lot of cash. Unfortunately, it also draws the attention of the guards, which, Ida had warned Luz about. So she's brought downtown to the Bonesboro Police Department and she is arrested. And we even have Lilith come in, having heard that Ida had been captured, and she lists off Ida's many offenses. But Lilith feels that was a cry for help, that this time they'll be able to join the king's coven, the emperor's coven, like they did when they were children, giving a little bit of insight into Ida's background. That when she was a child, she actually did want to be in the emperor's coven, which creates the question, what happened? What changed that she no longer wanted to be a part of that? However, we find out that that would involve her being branded. Now, not quite sure what this brand would do. I have to assume that it would mean that she could only use her power in service to the emperor or something like that. But Luge tries her best to escape, creating this massive explosion, and manages to free Albert so they can escape. But Lilith and the guards give chase and chase her all the way to the kitty corner, where she runs into King and Ida. So she helps them escape, and while they end up being cornered by the various forces chasing after them, Ida swaps them all back to normal, which fun little moment, and she decides to use the spell to swap the bodies of everyone chasing after them, allowing them to escape in the chaos and pandemonium. And while they have all learned a valuable lesson that all of their lives are harder than the other one thought, the the situation with Hootie is still kind of on the table, and so it's ultimately with a game of not it. It's decided that Luz will be the one to clean Albert, the entire Owl House. So, a nice little episode, a nice little bit of insight into the lives of our favorite characters. It's good to actually have them have a moment where they have to kind of understand where the other is coming from, grow, develop, and get a little bit closer, if nothing else. I think that is just a great lesson, and I love to see it. But a decent episode, not the best, but not the worst. Fun, great character moments, continuation of Bosca being a little bit of a jerk. It was interesting to see Lilith in this, considering the last time we saw her. I wasn't expecting her to see her so soon, but a nice little moment to really ramp up the stakes for the most part. But tell me your thoughts on this episode in the comment section below. Did you love it? Did you hate it? How did you feel about everyone being in each other's body? It created these fun scenarios, if nothing else, which I really enjoyed. But tell me your thoughts in the comment section below. If you like this review, leave me a like or a dislike, depending on how you feel, and subscribe and hit the bell icon. That way you don't miss out on my next episode review of The Owl House. But until then, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.